Anybody calls the meeting from order, to order. Gabe will not be here tonight. We also had a resignation on the board, and that person happened to be your vice chair. So we don't have a chair or vice chair named for this meeting. So just want to be.
No, he had done it before. He could do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
We'll vote on it.
You're nominated.
yeah.
Second it, you're in.
All right, well, I guess. In that case, we'll call the meeting to order. And because we don't have a chair and we don't have a vice chair, since the meeting's in order now, we'd have to have a nomination for a chair for the meeting, right?
Correct.
I nominate for the meeting. Is that what we need?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably a motion.
Yeah, a motion to nominate. You want to do that? I'll make a motion that we nominate Mr. Mr. Fletcher. Yeah, Mr. Fletcher. I don't know for the chair for this meeting.
I'll second.
Motion and second, all in favor,
All in favor.
say aye.
Aye.
I was getting ready to call you lieutenant, so just for the
You're calling me lieutenant. Yeah, sometimes I forget my name too. So the first thing we've got is roll call.
Melanie Hedgepath.
Jim Fletcher.
Matthew Smith.
Bruce Richardson.
Very good. And confirm with staff that the Kansas Open Meetings Act's required notice has been properly provided.
It has.
Okay. I apologize, I moved right to B, so we'll move to introduction of guests. We'll do that second. Having none, we'll go to citizens forum. Thank you, sir.
I'm not a guest per se, but it sounds like you could use a few more members on the board. I guess I could do that while I'm here. But, my name's Greg Taylor. I live here in Salina, lived here quite a long time, and I'm here to talk a little bit about a program that was in place back for the last 30 or so years, hasn't been for a few years, and some of you may remember, some may not, but the That's Entertainment series that was on Thursday nights from 4 to 7 times every summer. That was discontinued after 2015. 2015 was the last time that took place. Some private folks took that up in 2016, 2017, and 2018. Went pretty well during those times, but then was dropped, or hasn't occurred in 2019. Of course, nothing happened in 2020 or 2021, and so I'm kind of here to promote that, or maybe suggest that we reinstate that program. Kind of timing-wise, this is budget time, and so hopefully this would be a time to get that in. You folks probably don't have any say in that, but Jeff and his folks may, if that is something that sounds good. And I know from personal experience, I've gone to that series for 30 or so years and probably missed 3 or 4 in that whole time, and really liked it. And sometimes the crowds were somewhat sparse, especially in those earlier years, but later on there were really a lot of people there, in the hundreds really. It just kind of depended, it seemed like, on how much it was promoted, and there were newspaper ads and whatnot in the years where it was done well. Nowadays you can do the promotion free, basically, on Facebook and social media and those kind of things. So I just think it's more of a family-friendly type activity. There's the playground right there, and it's in the park, and I'm not sure why it was dropped, whether that was a budget consideration or maybe somebody retired, nobody wanted to pick it up after that. I really don't know. And we do have the stage downtown, and they've got some programming on Friday nights. There again, that's not quite the family-friendly atmosphere, and it's somewhat hot out there in the evenings too. But anyway, I'll wind that up. I just want to make that suggestion and possibly put that on the list for next year.
Could you kind of explain what that is? I'm not familiar with.
Yeah. What they did is had sometimes, well, they started out, they had like 7 Thursday nights, starting right after the River Festival, going on through, mid-July, late July. And they would have bands come and play at the Eric Stein stage, actually, even before that was built, at the old gazebo. And so they'd have a lot of local bands, plus a lot of people who are coming through because we're located right on the highway, and Thursday night's not really the most popular night, so you'd have different people come through, and I could name several groups who are now semi-famous who, came through and stopped and played here Thursday nights years ago. But that's really what it was, a concert from 8 to 10 on Thursday nights.
I think I remember that, Mr. Taylor, and I remember it wasn't just the park venue. I have this image in my mind of the old stage over where Coop's Pizza used to be. Where
Campbell Plaza.
yeah,
Yeah,
different bands in there and stuff.
that was a little different series, and I think, if I remember right, after 2015, maybe some things were done there and over by the community theater,
Yeah.
if you remember that, too, just a time or two for a few years there.
As I recall, though, it was pretty much private folks organizing it as far as getting
They-
the bands, those.
Yeah, and I'm not sure who actually did the programming. There would have to be someone who had knowledge of that industry and knew where to go to find different people. But I know Parks and Rec people passed out flyers and did that sort of thing, and did the announcing, just introduction for the band. I know those were Parks and Rec type people, I think probably interns, seemed like, if I remember right, back at that time.
I imagine one in the park would be more or less park and recreation, their business. I think the one on Campbell Plaza was more of a private type deal.
I think so.
And that was when, before the pizza place decided to close down and everything. But that was always running, so always drew a crowd down there.
Yeah.
So, but, be
And I
nice to
guess-
see that done again.
I'm sorry. I guess the other question that comes to mind is that a Parks and Rec piece, or is that an Arts and Humanities piece?
That occurred to me, and partly because they have a new person that started 1st of June to do the programming and getting the talent for the River Festival. And that kind of occurred to me too, that, maybe that person would be the right one to do both. They certainly, I don't remember who it is, but they probably have some kind of contacts and experience in that realm.
Maybe, Mr. Hammond, you could visit with them and.
I could. I'm familiar with the person he's referring to. She works for Arts and Humanities, relatively new hire, does have a very strong music background from what I understand.
Okay.
And I hear she's being recruited for different musical groups around town.
Nice,
Ah, good.
nice.
Because there are quite a few, and there are quite a few who would play at events like this. I'm not saying they would for free, but, the probably modest amounts as far as the money goes.
Is that something, Mr. Hammond, you'd be willing to follow up with Mr.
Yeah,
Taylor on?
definitely. If I can, if you have a number,
Yeah,
I can grab from you. That'd be great. If you want to write it down, you're more than
yeah, I'll do that.
anywhere you like. Thank you.
Very good.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate your time and coming and sharing with us this afternoon.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I don't have just for the board's information, I don't have a strong history of knowing That's Entertainment Group. I started here in late 2016, but I do know every Thursday night from I live downtown. I lived off of downtown, and I can hear Oakdale Park from my home every Thursday evening for those 7 weeks.
Gotcha, yeah.
And I don't have a knowledge or a basis of knowledge to know why it stopped and why the city stopped doing it as a city program and passed it along to a private group. I'm not aware of that
That's the
reason.
part I don't know, and, I don't know if there's a budget consideration or what.
I'm not sure, but I will find out.
Good.
Very good.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate your time this evening.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Next item we have on our agenda is approval of the agenda.
Before you take a motion to do that, if I may interrupt, I'm not sure if you, I was looking for some feedback before we approve the agenda to edit the agenda to, there's only 4 of you here, we don't have a full board tonight. Does the board feel you want to make a motion for a permanent vice chair position, or would you like to wait for the 2 other members of the existing board to replace the advisory board member that resigned? Because we had Brad Dix, who resigned from the advisory board. He was our vice chair, and we are looking to nominate a vice chair. I'm not sure if you feel this is, if you feel this is an appropriate time to do so, I'd like to add it to the agenda for today's meeting. And of course, what I'm saying is I neglected to put it on here prior. So,
I think it'd be more appropriate if we had some other advisors here with that. That way they could have a choice in saying it too.
it's up to you if you want, it's up to the board if you wish to make a motion to edit the agenda and put it as an item or postpone that.
So I think what we'll do now is I'll move to approval of the agenda unless someone would like to modify the agenda that's been proposed
I make a motion we approve the agenda
as presented.
as presented.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries 4-0. All right, so we will move to the approval of the minutes, which were distributed in advance to the board. Take a second, look through those, and if there's a motion, I'd gladly accept that.
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented, and a second. Okay, thank you, Bruce. And a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Activity reports with Mr. Hammond.
Let's see, several things in May. We did open the water park May 28th. Kenwood Cove Aquatic Park opened May 28th for the season, for its 12th season. And that does not include the year that we were closed for 2020 due to the pandemic. But a lot of activity reports you'll see in this report have to do with preparing for summer, preparing for that facility to open, preparing for the River Festival, which happened last week. Flowers, receiving flowers and putting flowers into landscaping beds. The Memorial Day service, which I attended and with Mr. Richardson, was there at Sunset Park. And it was a storm-filled, I would say high winds and storm-filled morning. Winds got up into the 50s, 50 miles an hour. We had some tree damage at Sunset Park just prior to that Memorial Day recognition event at Sunset Park at 11 a.m. And let's see.
I noticed, Mr. Hammond, as I looked through we transferred dogs to Longmont, Colorado
Yes.
because of overcrowding at the shelter. What's the financial impact on a a situation like that?
We often transfer dogs to different shelters. If you're looking for kind of a financial breakdown of transportation costs or relocation costs, I don't have that with me. I don't have that readily available, if that's what you're looking for.
I just wasn't sure if that was significant or,
Well, it's the price of gas. The price of gas certainly is significant, especially to Colorado. We are using a city vehicle to do so. The overcrowding we do have on current to date, we do have overcrowding at the animal shelter. I guess shouldn't say overcrowding. We are almost at a packed house. And there was a time last week where we were full. So if someone came to the door with a stray, we were very concerned about how we were going to accept that stray. In the meantime, we do daily adoptions, or Monday through Friday, we have adoptions. This weekend, we have an adoption event on Saturday. The dogs that are listed in this report are actually pit bulls that are being transferred to counties and cities and states that don't have a ban on those specific breeds. And so we actively do look for homes for pit bulls. Our preference would be, of course, not to euthanize pit bulls. We would prefer to find them homes. So we look for partners and shelters across the city, across the region, across the state, and in other states to try to find homes for those pit bulls. As a matter of fact, we're going next week. We're going soon to another trip to Colorado to deliver more pit bulls.
and so they go to another shelter out there?
Correct. The Humane Society, another shelter, yeah.
Gotcha.
Are pit bulls a large portion of that population that's causing the overcrowding?
The overcrowding, no, I wouldn't say it's primarily it's, there's a mix. I don't have the breakdown of the mix of what type of dogs or what category of dogs are in our possession or in our facility. Some are court holds, so there is a court case relating to a certain animal, whether it be someone who had a felony or was in jail or something that dog is relating to. Whereas some are surrenders, some are strays, some are ready to be adopted, some are waiting for surgery. So it's always an intake and outtake of daily, so the number changes all the time. And at one point in time, we had upwards of 10 plus pit bulls in our possession, and so trying to find them homes.
I think that was going to be my next question. Are a lot of them confiscated by law enforcement? Are they brought in by law enforcement?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It looks like still looking for lifeguards.
Yes, we are still looking for lifeguards. We felt we were in a good position a month ago. We had recruited significant number of lifeguards and were either hired or in the process of being hired. Unfortunately, we found that some of those individuals didn't have very strong swimming skills. And to be a lifeguard, you do need, in fact, a relatively strong swimming skill to be able to enter into the class. So she is still actively hiring lifeguards. The aquatic supervisor is actively hiring lifeguards still.
Does that wrap up our activity reports?
I have one question about the range net. Do you know how long that's going to take, or is there an estimate on when it's going to get delivered?
The update we received was the week of June 27th.
Okay.
Is that correct? Yep.
I'm sure it has impacted the traffic, and yeah, I know it has.
And I'm speaking to our golf course manager, he stated that, driving ranges are often an introduction to golfing. So if you're maybe you've golfed one time in your adult life and you want to come back to it, a driving range is a great way to get reintroduced to the sport. So that option's unavailable currently.
That's all I have. I'm sorry.
Questions? All right. Next item we've got is new business with a new location for the municipal band.
Correct. The Salina Municipal Band has been around since the early 1900s. They've had different locations across the city, but their most recent location has been Memorial Hall. Memorial Hall has been their home for quite a bit of time. And Memorial Hall, several reports, several studies in the past about Memorial Hall. It hasn't undergone a renovation in some time. As a matter of fact, it may have never received a renovation. Memorial Hall is a 1930s building, so it's pretty darn old. We did a study sometime in the 80s or 90s about the current condition of Memorial Hall not being suitable for public programming. It just needs a significant upgrade, a significant remodel to be ADA compliant, to be safe for public use. And so since in my time, we've slowly tried to find new homes for things that were housed in Memorial Hall. And if you've been a member of this board for somewhat time, you'll remember some of the things you might have been presented. Gymnastics, we moved our programming to Genesis, where they opened the Sky Gymnastics program at the Sky Trampoline Park. We stopped offering a weightlifting class that was held downstairs. We made a donation to Salina Arts Center for ceramics equipment. One of the final pieces of what needed to find a new home was the Salina Municipal Band. We identified the Friendship Center. The Friendship Center has two levels. It has a lower level, and it has an upper level. The lower level typically gets used for rentals, as a community center, as a neighborhood center rental. And the upstairs was kind of not being used. We used to use it for a camp program up there, where we housed all of our camp supplies. As you might recall, we moved our camp to the field house in 2018. So that space was relatively not being used. An idea came forth about seeing if the band would be interested in the space, and they were in fact interested. There's a picture in your packet about the room. We put carpet in the room, and they are now using that space for their practices. They practice from end of May through the 1st of August. Eventually, they do have storage still in Memorial Hall that they will be taking over to. Apparently have sheet music that is quite valuable and from the early 1900s, and they're going to relocate that to Friendship Center over the course of the next few months. But I wanted to report on that. So now that allows Memorial Hall to have no tenants, if you will. No one occupying the space, and there are opportunities that we're working with a developer to try to see what they can do with Memorial Hall, so that kind of allows us to proceed with that. So I want to report on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Old business, we don't have anything today as old business, so that would move us down to general announcements.
I don't have any general announcements today.
I'm not aware of any there either, so that would move us for a motion for adjournment.
I'll motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn, is there a second? Mr. Richardson seconds. All in favor, please raise your right hand or say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.